Hey D&D fam. I'm Quick.
And I'm Lee, and you're listening to
Divas and Ducats. So what is a diva? I think divas get a bad rep. But to me, diva is all about the attitude.
As for Ducat, it's your finances, your assets, Skrilla, guap, your coin. We're talking all things with the potential to affect your pockets.
And while we're attorneys by trade, we are divas by choice. Divas and Ducats is for edutainment purposes.
Y'all, we are not Series 511 or 703 professionals. This does not create a financial advisor or attorney-client relationship. The views expressed here are solely our opinions and the opinions of our guests.
It's just our opinions, y'all. Okay, divas, let's talk Ducats.
Hey D&D fam, welcome back. We are excited to get into this episode for the lovers and friends. Okay. Oh.
Don't ask me who it's by.
It's okay. If you are watching, make sure you subscribe below. And as always, go to www.divasandducats.com where you can learn about all things relating to what we do. Mm-hmm. All right. So on today's docket, we are talking about dating and debt. Okay. Listen, I've been looking on the social media debates about how much a date should be, about where you should go, what's an acceptable date cost. And one thing that I found very interesting is that the people are it's putting them in a little bit of bind dating. So we're really going to crunch some numbers and figure out how you can, look for a friend, a significant other, a husband, a Boaz, whatever it is that you're looking at. Yeah, I've learned that's a thing too. What is it called? A beneficial business associate. Yes. If that's what you're looking for, do so in a way that doesn't break your pockets. All right. So let's let's get into some stats. All right, Quick. What did you find?
So Lending Tree, apparently, so before we even decided to do this episode, I didn't know this was a thing, right? The whole people going into debt over dating, I just didn't know it was a thing. But it makes sense, like you said, when you hear all these TikToks and just the comments about people wanting these 4- and 5-star restaurants on first dates. It's like, okay. So Lending Tree did, I don't know how often they do it, but in 2021, they did survey, and they said at that time the average first date was low end $77 and went upwards to like $120 for the average first date. And I was just kind of I was shocked about that. When I think about it though, like when you think about just the cost of drinks, like if you just go out for drinks, you could spend $40.
A drink is easily, unless it's a special, is $15. Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
So, especially if you're ordering top shelf, most people are not gonna order certain liquors. So, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I mean, when you break it down, it makes sense. And then, like you said, if you're in these bigger cities, you're talking about parking. That's going to be part of your cost. I don't necessarily know unless you're picking her up, and how many people are doing that these days? But
I don't know. Like safety wise, I think most people kind of meet up on the first day.
Yeah. So y'all are both paying for parking, which has to be added into those costs, and that could be anywhere from $15 wherever you're going to $35 or more. And people. To me, I feel like if you're going on the first date, they ain't never seen any of your clothes. So you don't have to get new clothes. But people still
some
want to
people
feel
might
jazzy.
get a little cute outfit, or they might go to the dry cleaner and make sure they, they're fresh. That's a built-in cost. And then the actual food. Like, you're going to get a bill. And so, assuming you go to, I guess, whatever you consider a nice restaurant, that for two people could easily be $75 to $100. Yeah. Especially if you get an appetizer,
Right. And, in the dating scene, you're dating, right? So it's not, you might go on 2 dates a week or 3 dates a week. Just depending, until you find whatever you're looking for.
The person you want to consistently date. Like, this is the person.
Just thinking about that could be $300 in a week for dating.
As well, and again, that is assuming a very traditional route, right? That's assuming like as the man, I'm going to pay, for it's potentially 3 dates.
Yeah, but I wasn't even pulling it. I mean, whether it's the man or the woman, it could be the woman paying for it. But
so potentially you spend anywhere from, if you're going on 2-3 dates a week, you could be upwards $200-$300. So that site also found that 22% of millennials, so millennials are considered 26 to 41, and 19% of Gen Z, so that's like your 25 on down, have reported when surveyed that they have gone into debt from dating.
Yeah.
Shall we continue? Okay.
We can.
6% have said they have had their card declined on a first date. Would you go on a second date if he had his card declined?
It depends on how we bouncing back from the card decline. Are we trying to like sneak out, or is he asking me suddenly? Are he pulling out cash? Like,
so okay, if he pulled out cash, I'm sure you might be like, okay, maybe something happened. If he asked you to pay because his card got declined, would you go on a second date?
If I'm honest, no.
Okay.
I would pay, and I wouldn't, make them feel embarrassed by it. But no, I'm definitely not going on a second date.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, 32% said they would still go on a date even if they couldn't afford it. That's the thing.
So they're good with this date.
They just like, look, I can't.
I got a date.
I'm gonna have to. I gotta take it out. I'm gonna have to listen. I might have to call Duke Energy and be like, but I gotta go.
Yeah, and I will say this. I think a lot of times I just say don't start anything you can't continue. Right. So these 32% of people that are like, I don't care if I got to go on a date. I need to go on a date, right? Mm-hmm. And then you go on all these elaborate first dates. What happens when you connect with this person and then you can no longer take them on these elaborate dates? I know one of my best first dates was like at, it was like a concert. You know what I'm saying? But it was many, many, many moons before we went to another concert. So I was just like, this whole I gotta impress you stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people not showing, coming naked and showing their face, and but
I think there's a way to do that without being like, without it feeling like slimy though, right? Like I feel like a person could honestly say, so listen, I'm on a budget. Is there a particular, because to me,
no one's going to say that for the first date though.
Well, here's to me how you do it. It's like, okay, I'm taking you out. I'm going to ask you, like, are there any foods in particular like you just don't like or foods that you love? Okay. And if you tell me like, I really love seafood, then I'm going to find, I'm not going to take you to Red Lobster, but I'm going to find a seafood restaurant that I can still pay my bills. The Cheddar Bay biscuits ain't popping like they used to be, apparently, from what I've heard. They got them at Harris Teeter, though. So, you've never eaten Red Lobster? Ever?
This is not what this episode is
it's
about.
It's not. I just was really shocked. Okay. Well, you've missed its prime. I don't even know if I should tell you to go at this point. Because they've gotten frowned upon in addition to Olive Garden. So, I would still pick a seafood restaurant, but something that... I might not pick like what was the big one that was downtown here? Sea Level. I might not take you there because it's like, okay, it's a little pricey. But there has to be an in-between between Red Lobster and Sea Level. Like, that to me is how you do it. Okay, I don't have to say... I don't have to say I'm on a budget, but to me, I can pick something where I look at the prices and I'm like, okay, I can swing this. To me. Or... And we'll get into it later. The other way to do things is, because truly the first date, the biggest thing is being in an atmosphere where you can talk and get to know each other. Yes. So it doesn't have to include food. I mean, I think people think dinner, but really if there's room for us to talk and vibe, right. I don't
And movies are very expensive. And I just think they're a horrible first date.
You can't talk.
You cannot talk.
Looking at the movie.
So let's take if we doing this in trying to get out. Let's avoid that $40, $50, because this is just not a good first date to me.
So speaking of avoiding, do you feel like you should you like? How do you know if you can afford to date? Because we know you feel like you shouldn't necessarily do something you can't afford to do. So how do you know you can afford to date?
I think it's like with most things. Like if you're doing this thing, you're going out to date, you're traveling, is what I'm also thinking about. And then you're coming back and you're having to move money around in order to be able to pay a bill that you can normally pay easily. Or you just don't pay that bill. You know, we just gonna make a late payment on a car payment this week, so I can take that $300 and move it over. That you can't afford it. Like that means to me you can't afford that date.
Okay.
Or at least at that level, you can get creative. But again, it just means at a certain whatever you're trying. If you're trying to go to those luxury places, then that might be a little out. If you sweating when that bill comes,
what's it gonna be?
You can't afford it. Like you can't afford it.
Okay. So. I mean, that's fair. I tend to agree. I feel like that's how you know if you can handle something or not. If you have not paid all your bills and haven't gone through there and said, this is what I owe for this pay period, how much is left, you might want to do that before you, to your point, you go somewhere and they don't have the prices listed next to it. Because, again, that's the message that they're sending. If you got to ask, then you can't afford it now. I might still ask, but
if you gotta ask what?
That's the vibe at those type of spots. Like, if you got to ask the price, then you can't afford it. Now I'm still ask.
I definitely.
I need clarity, but
that's
sometimes that's the kind of snooty vibe about it. Now I'm a proponent of, to me, the person who pays for the date is the person who asked.
Okay.
To me, like, I don't necessarily feel like just because a guy took me out on the first date, he pays. Now, generally, I feel like they ask. So I'm kind of just sitting there like, okay. But if I ask a guy like, so why don't we get, dinner? I feel like because I invited him, like, I'm going to pay.
Practically, have you ever asked a guy on a first date?
Once.
Okay. And you pay? Okay.
I did.
Cool.
Now, the other 99% of the time, I go that way.
I can't speak on that because I would think that's how I would feel. I really do. But I can't speak on it because I've never taken a guy out on a first date. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I am totally. Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that. Like, yeah, I don't know.
With the first date.
Yeah, I don't know if I feel how I feel about a woman paying for the first date. Like, I think. I agree with the statement, and I think it's fair. If you asked him out, you're asked of his time to go out, then why not pay? Because if he was doing it, it would be the same, right? But would you go with the same mentality that men are usually expected to go with? That he can order anything off that plate, he can run your bill up, and it just is what it is? Are you expecting him to be like, yo, she tried to get me, let me go ahead and stay on this side of the menu?
Now, I'm not expecting you to necessarily stay on the side of the menu, but I also feel like if you're the type that, because I just feel like the type that's just like, you wouldn't normally order this, but now you like, oh, like that Quinta video, like, oh, she got money. Right, like, if you acting like that, it's like, okay, like, sir, I'm going to pay for this, but I'm probably not going to want to go out with you again, because it's like, there's a difference.
I think it's fair because they do this. They behave the same.
That's what I'm saying. There's a difference to me than with, like, we are somewhere. Let me just pick okay, because it's hard. Because I feel like here we either have like TGI Fridays or
really
Ruth's Chris. It's not really a lot of in between. So that's why I'm like, my example. I keep trying to think of like something in the middle, and it's really hard. So okay, fine. We at Ruth's Chris. I feel like if you just ordering normal stuff at Ruth's Chris, like, I already know in my mind your entree is probably going to be between $40 and $50 because that's a Ruth's Chris price. Now, if you over here ordering 2 appetizers and like, sir,
you know these are family style.
You already know, like, so now you just be an extra. So
right.
I can't So I think it's just a difference to me in the attitude about it. You know what I mean? That's if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. So I will say, so in my current relationship, I met my boyfriend shortly before my birthday, right? Mm-hmm. He rolled out to me.
Did you get your gift?
Yes. He rolled out to me. He rolled out the carpet for my experiences. Now, because I will say this again, some people roll out the carpet, meaning he bought me a Louis Vuitton. I'm not that chick. We've already discussed that. So for me, like, he just made sure that my birthday was really special. He didn't have to do that because he had literally met me, I would say probably maybe a week and some change, like a few days.
Oh, wow.
Before my birthday. It wasn't like no month. He got, time in, but he made sure, multiple dates. And in him doing that, I took up one of the dates because I was like, I'm just not, it wasn't the first date.
Yeah.
But, we went on like 5 dates in a series of like 8 days.
Yeah.
So, and one of them was sea level.
Well.
But I did pay for one of those dates. You know what I'm saying? Like I think I'm more comfortable doing that than probably paying for a first date. Like I don't pick up a tab.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
but and I do feel like that as you're dating a person consistently, or we're on a second date, third date, like we're getting to the point where like, oh, we like each other, we keep making future plans. Like it's not. I'm not going every time we go out. You pay. Yeah. That's just not.
There are people like that. Though.
I mean, there are, but. I just don't know. Like, I'm always thinking, I'm looking at today's numbers, today's economy, today's prices, eggs, my God. So right. I'm just like, this is if you're looking to be part of a team, a unit, then it should be both people, in my opinion, it should be both people contributing to what it costs for us to have an experience.
I agree with that.
So that's me. And another point of dating that I think people don't talk to sometimes is the cost of just meeting someone. Because I will say, once you're out of college, grad school, you're not on a campus anymore. Like, you pretty much work, maybe go to the gym, go to if you have, like, involvements, community type organizations, and you go home. Like, you don't... You really don't have a lot of opportunity to meet a lot of people, or the people that you do know are in this, smaller sphere. So, now dating apps are a thing, and there's some that are free and some that are more casual than others. I'll say it that way. And some that cost. And although I've said all of that, I am not really a fan of the dating apps. For me, like, I would just prefer to meet somebody organically. I know that's super hard unless you just out here being social, but so I can't really speak to as much like the value of if you pay for an app versus, doing the free ones. But like, what are your thoughts?
Let me pull my mic a little closer because baby, I am the online dating app queen. Okay? Let me tell you. So look, I have been online dating for years, and it is because I don't go out like that. You know what I'm saying? I've never been a clubber. Even when I was single, free, young, I was never a clubber. So, and then when I got into the corporate world, I don't know. I just wasn't the after lunch, hang out uptown. Yeah. I just wasn't. I'm a social person, but I prefer to be at the house and everybody coming over and eat. Like I don't mingle. I'm not a mingle person. You know what I'm saying? Unless I'm going out with my core group of friends, and one of them want to go out to mingle.
And that's fair.
So, online dating has always worked for me. I will say that there are different experiences. I think for me, I felt restricted with the paid. I've done eHarmony. Look. All of them, Black Planet, look. We can go through all of them, okay? eHarmony, I felt, was very restricting. Okay. You have to answer, like, it feels like you taking the exam, like the LSAT. We taking the bar exam. It's a lot of questions, and then you get a certain limit number of matches per day. Now, they, I guess, try to make it more like real life. Like, you're not going to meet 60 people in real life in a day. So they want you to actually take the time to try to know people before you just swiping right, swiping left like you do on Bumble and Tinder and all these other apps, right? No, it didn't work for me.
Okay.
Match is kind of the same way. I think it's a little better than eHarmony. But again, I don't even know what the prices of them are now, but they were like $30 20 something, 30 something dollars 10 years ago. So I have no idea what these subscription costs are now. Yeah. So like you said, that's really expensive. Mm-hmm. And most people that I have spoken to, and I'm talking about the ones that have done online dating and ended up married. Mm-hmm. The majority of them didn't only have an online experience for 1 month. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a couple of months, or so for some, a couple of years. Mm-hmm. Now, I did have a friend that she was lucky that way. She was like you. She did not want an online date. She went on, was like, this is not for me for 2 weeks, got back off. Yeah. Something told her to get back on. She met her husband. Like, it was very quick and very swift. Mm-hmm. That's not the normal story, you know? So I think it just really depends on your style. I think, the Bumbles and the Tinders, anybody that's on them know you're going to see the same people over and all the time. I have a coworker, and I swear I see him on every... I be like, bro, we could have just went to Starbucks by now and talked. Like, we even went out one time. Which is like, we laugh about it. Like, you just keep following me on all these apps. Why are we both single? Keep looking up. Right. So you're going to see a lot of the same people, I think, on the free ones. Got you. So it's very cyclical that way with the free apps, where I definitely didn't see the same people on the paid apps. So maybe if you want something different, you can go to the paid apps.
And this is just my opinion, like the few people that I know who met through online dating, I do feel like, and I'm not saying pay forever, because again, that is part of your budget. Mm-hmm. But I do kind of feel like if you are paying for something, if you're like, that's like an investment. Mm-hmm. If I am paying for something, I'm more serious about, I'm trying to meet someone. And if that's your intention, like I really want to meet someone and be in something serious and monogamous, I feel like you might have more success. Maybe you set some kind of limit, but saying like, okay, I'm for this year, I'm going to pay this, and I'm going to actually try and be invested in this, versus, to your point, like a Tinder, that's more of a hookup. So it's kind of like, I'm not saying that no one's ever met their spouse on Tinder, but a lot of times the free ones, people are kind of, they playing. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. All right. So let's save y'all some money. Let's get into a couple things. So I am a fan of switching it up. Now I don't do. Going with this. That's not where I was going. Oh my goodness. I mean, we talked that another episode. But I'm a fan of it. Okay, let me back up and give you some perspective, because this is already gone with your side eye. Okay. If you are dating someone, you're in a monogamous relationship, things can get a little routine. Mm-hmm. And so I am a fan of at least trying your best to bring a little creativity to the date, because a lot of times, you're with this person, y'all sit on the couch all the time, y'all chilling, like you're not putting as much effort into, I'm gonna take you out. Not saying you don't go out, but it's not as
creative anymore.
Correct. So I'm a fan of just trying new things and seeing like if we like them. So one of the things that I got, and I'm trying to keep y'all up under that $77 to $90 that we looked up. One of the things that I bought is it's called like the Adventure Book.
How much was the book?
It was $49.
Okay.
So, and it has like 50 dates in there. So it's like the adventure couple. They have it for couples, families, like there's different ones. And literally you open the book, there's a whole little key for like cost, like it'll have the dollar signs, kind of like a restaurant, like if it costs a lot. And I think the most expensive date in there is like $100. So it's anywhere from $5 to $100, and you can it's a scratch.
So there are no free dates in there.
There's no free ones in there.
In that one, okay.
Mm-mm. So before you scratch it off, because you don't find out what the date is until you scratch it off, almost like a lottery ticket. You could kind of be looking like, okay, is food involved? Is it outside? Is it messy? Like all of that is part of the key to the side of each date before you scratch it off. So if you say like, oh, I want to be outside, let me find one where, I don't know if it's like the sunshine key, and I'll scratch it off, and then that's what you do. And it even has a little thing where you can take a picture, like one of the little like Polaroids, and have like a little memory.
How much is that?
What?
The Polaroid camera.
I don't know how much a Polaroid is, but here's my little cheaper tip. Okay. You could take a picture in your iPhone and go to Walgreens and print that thing out for like $1 or $2. So
see, That's the thing, because I'm gonna tell you that
I didn't buy the camera.
The camera that goes with that book costs like $125.
Yeah, I didn't buy the camera.
Thank you for that tip.
So save your money on that. Just take a picture of your phone and then go to Walgreens or CVS and get it.
Right.
You can get the size you want. It's almost like a passport size if you wanted to. So what I like about that is even though the book is $49, there's like 50 dates in there, 50 date ideas. So essentially you paid $1 a date to figure out like what are we gonna do. And one of the ones that I did was you make a fort. So you make a fort and you make s'mores.
I've seen them.
And so I made the little fort in the house, and it was cool. You watch a movie and you have your s'mores. Another thing that I did one time with Bae was I was just like, okay, I'm gonna spend a lot of money. We're trying to, be better. So I was like, let's do wine and a puzzle. So we went to like Target, got I don't know if the first one was a 500 or 1,000 piece, but we got a puzzle and just we're at my table. I had went to Harris Teeter and got some wine, I had my little JBL speaker, got one of the little R&B playlist, and we, for a few hours, did a puzzle. Now, we didn't finish that night because it's just like, it's a lot. It's a lot of thought process. But the other thing to me that was cool about doing the puzzle, and the puzzle costs $15. So $15.
Puzzles, they got expensive too.
Yeah, $15. I may have paid $20 for the wine, so $35 date. And what was interesting was I learned a lot about how he thinks because I was putting the pieces together by the colors. Like I was more so this color, like they're close together, and so I had my cluster. And he was over there doing the edge.
I'm an edge person.
And so what happened is I'll have a huge clunk. And it'll be like, okay, this is where it goes. And so, but it works. But it's just like, there's more than one way to do it. So that was something, at least the first time we did a puzzle together. Now we do puzzles, like that's our thing. Now we like doing puzzles.
That's really cool. You do learn about a lot. You can learn things.
Yeah, so it's just like, because at first he was looking like, what's she doing? And I was like, this is pink. So obviously it's in the same neighborhood. Whereas he just find the edge piece. I was like, that doesn't work in my mind. It just doesn't, I don't know why. It makes sense. It's just not how my mind works.
And it's funny. I think that's funny because, me and you have recently been talking a lot about just people, in their different quirks. People just think differently. Doesn't mean that their end result isn't the same, but they just get to the journey differently.
Yep.
So I think, just like you said, sitting there for hours in an intimate setting like that with just music and a puzzle and wine requires a lot of communication. You get to know someone. It's intimate. Yeah, I like that. That's really cool.
Yeah. And another one was...
Did he like it?
He does. Okay. Now we pick puzzles. Like we recently took a trip and we were in Colorado, but we were really close to Wyoming. And both of us are kind of like, I want to see all 50 states if I can. So we're like, well, let's just drive to Wyoming. They're really big on like the railroad system and the history there. So we bought like a train puzzle that we're putting together. So
that's cute.
Yeah. So like it's become a thing. Other things that are under $75. If you both have, most of these places have $10 gym memberships. I'm sure most of us pay for them and don't go. You could do a gym date. I wasn't saying that because I still have mine and I mostly go to my train. But every now and then I'll pop in. But you can have a gym date and you can do that in the gym, or if it's warm, you can do it outside. Like we're going to go to, I think most major cities have like a greenway. So we're going to go to a greenway and walk. You could get a smoothie. They got $5 Friday. Get a smoothie and walk that greenway. You could just say we're going to jog. Like if there's a specific activity you like to do, because some people bike, skate. I mean, look, these can be multiple dates. You could skate one time. You could try to bike another time. You could just walk or run another time. Like you could have some gym dates. And that's still like there's so many partner workouts where, again, I won't say it's necessarily intimate in the same way as a puzzle, but there is still that we're doing something together. That's really cool, in my opinion. So if you live near the beach, if you're somewhere that's near like a coast, you can always take you a blanket, make some snacks at the house, pack some sandwiches, maybe buy a little wine, and y'all can have like a nice little beach date. Again, that is under $50, depending on what. Or
even local, because we're not near a beach. But I bought like a really cute basket, a little, old school picnic basket, like think Yellowstone Park. The bear?
Boo boo.
Yes.
Yogi.
Think that basket, right? And went to a lake, like just a lakeside that's got little picnic, and made some panini sandwiches, some wine. The food was the biggest cost of it, because the area is free, but it's beautiful and it's still allowing for communication. But it showed on $77.
No. There's it.
So,
another thing that I've done more of, game night.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have the game, yes, you're gonna spend. I would say last time I bought a game, it was like $20 to $25. But you could do a game night. Eventually, you'll have a bunch of games.
Mm-hmm.
That again, you learn about people.
Mm-hmm.
I get a little intense with Scrabble and Taboo myself, but myself. But, even if you're playing Uno, it could be just anything. Like, you have a game, get some wings. Now, checks have got a little expensive here, so maybe you air fry the wings. Go to the store and get some wings, and you can air fry them.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could get a pack of wings for about $14. So, there you go.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else. Okay, you can actually, so some of these nice restaurants we talk about, I've seen it in Charlotte, and I want to say it was like Atlanta. So some cities they may have various names, but Restaurant Week.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when all of these highfalutin restaurants have a special menu where there's an appetizer, an entree, and a dessert. And now with inflation, it's going to more like $45. Mm-hmm. When I first heard of it, it was like $30. So now for about $45 a piece, you could do that. Now again, that's still gonna put you in that $77 to $90. Yeah. But if you're a person,
if you get a drink.
Well, yeah. But if you're a person who is like, oh, I want to try that restaurant one day with this person, but I can't afford it right now, like you could save in the future, doing something like that.
Yeah, and then I think a lot of the cities have their own versions of like things to do within the city. Mm-hmm. I know Charlotte has Creative Loafing Online. They used to have the physical magazine, but now they have it online, and it has a ton of things that you can do. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I think it could be fun either way, whether you're in a relationship or out of a relationship. Probably more fun if you're in a relationship and not look that crazy. But I like to go house hunting, like going to these like open houses with people and just like talk about things. Like you get to see somebody's style without having to move in with them. Like, and see
talk
somebody,
about
right,
it. Play pretend. Like, I don't know, honey.
Yeah.
These cabinets are a little dark.
Right, and see people's reaction and get to talk about that. Like it's fun.
Oh, I'm gonna have to add it to the house.
Yes,
that's cute.
We all up in Huntersville, Lake Norman, living on the lake.
And the other thing, I cannot remember what it's called, but okay, it's a game. It's not necessarily a. Okay, just stay with me because I'm going somewhere. There are these like. They're sensual games, but they're not necessarily sexual.
Okay.
So if you look them up, they're things that like have you do something to your partner that is pleasing and free. So it might be like give your partner a foot massage or whatever. So you might have a night where it's just like, let's play this sensual game. Now, if it leads other places, then good for you. But that's also an option. They are available online. I promise if you Google that.
That's a way to spice it up.
It's a way to like, we sitting at this house, but we're going to do something a little different. Like roll the dice. What did he tell you to do?
Right.
So, and the last thing I'll say just to kind of save or at least even things out is I don't have a problem going Dutch. If it might be a situation, let's go half and do this thing.
Mm-hmm.
It may
experience.
Yeah, it may not be food. It may be I don't know where you are. It might be hot air balloon. Let's pay half for and do this. Or I think too, if you're in partnership where one person may cook more than the other, I think a nice date would be the first person that doesn't cook as much to have a candlelight dinner, right? Now, if y'all both cooking, candlelight dinners could still be nice, but it's really just going to feel like another night of us cooking. But to make it extra special, like, go to Pinterest, even if you are not a cook, because so many people use that excuse, I don't cook. You also, at some point, didn't drive. You learned. Go to Pinterest, read a recipe, start with a 3 or 4 ingredient. You can look that up, 4 ingredient meal. And just try. I guarantee your partner will appreciate the effort. You know what I'm saying? Now, we might have to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich afterward if it didn't really come out right. But they have something to the side.
They still will appreciate the effort. I just think that's, again, that's going to keep you in probably around the $45, $50 range, depending on what you get. If you get eggs, and that's part of the ingredient, it's going to be up there because eggs are expensive. But that's nice, a little candlelight dinner changes up the environment of just serving somebody food.
All right. Well, we hope that helps you all. Do you want to save our listener letter for the next one?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. So questions, comments, concerns, shenanigans, divaadvice@gmail.com. That is DIVAADVICE@gmail.com. And before we get out of here, do you have any quick tips?
I would just say that in this space of thinking about the 32% of people that are just like, I'm willing to go into debt. If you know you are actively dating, set aside a monthly budget for it and make it a hard stop. Make it a hard stop. $200, depending on the city you're in, that might be laughable. But, just set aside a monthly budget for that. And I think it will also allow you to see, can you afford to date? Like, if you can't figure out this extra money, it might not be your time, or you might need to look at alternatives to more creative dates. I'm not going to say, if you can't afford to take them to such and such, you shouldn't date.
No. You might do that puzzle sooner than later.
Do something more creative. Yeah, and that's more unique. I know you can't really be inviting nobody over first time, but outside of that, So I'll just say set a budget. If you are actively dating, set a budget. Females and males, we know that's typically the male, role to do the first dates, but at some point in time, for all these females, he got to take care of me. Pop. Y'all got to come up off of that. Really. Y'all set a budget too. Set a budget. Sure.
All right, y'all. Great topic. We will be back. We hope you are following us on Facebook. If you're not, we're on Facebook and Instagram, Divas and Ducats, www.divasandducats.com, and subscribe again if you're watching us on YouTube. So in the meantime,
have a great attitude.
Bye.
Bye.